We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. Took a week off. It was great. I'm glad you're here with me. I know. Hack, why are you taking some time off? You know what? We upgraded some things around here. You probably noticed there's a better lens on the camera. The lighting is better in here. We're working to try and make the show better. Is it going to get better? Of course it's not. Okay, the expectations should remain low going into this endeavor, you know. Before we get into all the topics, there's a lot happening. Let's break it down. This weekend, June 12th, Churchbridge, Saskatchewan. June 13th, Bean Faith, Saskatchewan. June 14th, Yorkton, Saskatchewan. We are then heading to Calgary, June 15th. June 25th, Austin, Texas. July 20th, Bloomington, Minnesota. And then August 10th in Phoenix, Arizona. August 15th and 16th in Edmonton. I will be co-featuring with none other than the Electric Jew himself, Nicholas McQuick, ladies and gentlemen. Then heading out to Toronto, October 11th. October 17th in Berwyn, Alberta, October 18th, Grand Prairie, October 25th or 24th and 25th, that weekend in Niagara Falls has been updated to this weekend. If you have tickets, you're still good for that show. And then December 5th in Red Deer, Alberta, tickets available at dangercatshop.com. If you head on over to the patreon.com/dangercats69. It's a great way to support this podcast. For the cost of a beer a month, you can support a lunatic with a microphone trying ever so hard to entertain you. Patreon.com/dangercats69. All links are in the description down below. Let's get into it. First headline weekend, your boy had out in Kelowna, British Columbia. How did it go? It went excellent. Thank you for asking. That's how kind you people are. Just like, don't allow me to overtake the conversation here, but it went wonderful. The club is nice. All the Kelowna comics were wonderful to work with. Very welcoming. A lot of discussion about, hey, I've read about you before in the Vancouver Comedians Facebook group. Nothing you can't escape a good Facebook group. We all know this. Many of you that listen to this show are in a small town, and what do those small towns have is a rant and rave, or a confessions page of some sort where the town gathers together to argue on posts made by anonymous characters on the internet that causes everybody to implode with emotion, and everybody goes to war. We all know. It's always good to be a spectator in those types of groups, right? You don't put in your 2 cents. You discuss it behind closed doors with your friends and family like a normal. Oops. Oh, that's nice. We're trying to adjust the mic and we start smashing things around. That's the show. That is just the show. But you discuss these things in private with your loved ones, right? Lunatics exist in these groups, which is why I some days I'm like, we should nuke the internet. We should nuke it. Similar to how I praise some of these countries that we seem to think are being ran by dictators. I try to get under their skin because this is a wildly popular podcast, and I assume that they are tapping in to see what the consensus and overall state of Canada is in. This is the podcast that they turn to. These dictators, these proclaimed dictators by the Canadian government and those that are reporting on said issues across the globe, like Vladimir Putin. That is somebody that, I'm trying to get the attention of, that we can just throw a couple missile strikes this way, so that way we can understand what true pain feels like, instead of it being something along the lines of screaming that you're a fascist because you misgendered somebody, especially during this month. You know, like, we need to feel that. As human beings in this country, there's never really been any adversity that we've had to face, and probably since the 1930s, I want to say, 1930s, 1940s, maybe the last World War. There's never where the whole country is affected by it. You know, we as individuals, we find these niche subjects that we deem are like more important than the issues that for the overall, you know, well-being of a society. So we fixate on this, and we think that the rest of the population should gravitate towards the same emotions that you have about these issues, whether it be social issues, economic issues, the list goes on. That's what we have, where we haven't had anything that could just unite the country under some form of adversity. We've never been attacked, you know. Now, maybe you could look at these attacks online of maybe there's a bot farm in Russia that sees that we are divided right now about the whole, you know, trans issue, immigration issues, and then they double down on this and cause more division between the general population, or the general public, sorry, and but we don't see that. We don't see the play. We don't see the puppeteer. Where there is nothing right now that will unite us as a country, because everybody has their own thoughts and ideas, where I feel that a good nuclear strike in Toronto would probably be the best thing to unite the nation. We'd have the separatists out here in Alberta shutting the hell up, and then we'd be coming together, trying to gather resources. We would be trying to figure out means of survival with one another. Now, will it turn us all against one? We don't know quite yet, but I feel that is the only thing necessary right now to just bring us all together. Let's even the playing field. You know what I'm saying, folks? Thank you. Exactly what I was looking for. But yes, my weekend in Kelowna was phenomenal. Was great. Two sold out shows out there. We were able to add another show that was spectacular. It was a great weekend. Nice to get out of the city. Kelowna is a very interesting town. If you've never participated in the nonsense that takes place out there, I suggest, you know, wherever you are in the country, to go and visit it, and seeing the landscape of somewhere that is celebrated as this like oasis. It's the oasis of Canada. You see this culture there where it tries to represent something of California, but it's such a budget model of it that, like, the wealthy tend to flock there, and you really see what materialism can produce, and the overall, like, the shallowness that comes with it as well. It is very humorous seeing 60 to 70-year-old men with 23-year-olds wrapped around them. Now, am I jealous? Probably, because I can't get anywhere near young pussy, okay? I can't. I know what I look like. I know what I'm about. If anybody knows who I am, they run the other way. I don't drink anymore, so I don't even know how to talk to them. I've abandoned all other substances, so I'm not as interesting. I offer nothing. I am not a wealthy individual that is able to, you know, have them on a pontoon boat out in the Okanagan. So I am virtually useless to these individuals. Young ladies they look the other way when I walk in. This mustache is a sniz repellent. That's what it is. This mustache that sits on the top of my lip, you look at that, you go the other way. And it's designed that way on purpose. You know, I want to work hard for the pleasure of entering a woman's vagina. You know, I want to make sure that they are really down in the dumps if they're thinking that sleeping with me is a wonderful idea. You know, I want them to feel the shame that I felt when I was abusing alcohol and illicit substances the following morning. You know, the guilt of, and not so much guilt, the shame of the activities that I got up to the evening prior. And I think that's only fair to shell out what the feelings that I once felt as a young man. Well, I shouldn't say so much young, maybe into my later 20s. And then finally, you know, putting it to rest. As we should all feel that at some point in our lives and eventually grow on out of it. You know, like and I guess I'm sitting in this very particular place where now I'm looking upon the things that I've created in the past almost, 8 years now? 8 years I've been at this, 5 years in stand-up. Yeah, so it'd be about 8 years. And I guess, yeah, it's been, we're closing in now on 5 years of taming myself, you know, being a bit more tame in the public eye. And, you run into I ran into some individuals that I know from my hometown, and you're reminded of who you once were when you see them because they haven't seen you in a while. And some of these are people that I graduated with. And they're like, oh, you're a lot different than you once were. I remember last time I seen you, you were blah, 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 you know? And you hear that and you're like, fuck me. You know, it's it's funny, but you're just like, you think to yourself like, oh God, the person I once was. And I'm not saying, I'm no angel right now either. I'm not saying I'm an angel. I'm not trying to change the perception of myself of what, you know, I'm still a deadbeat. Deep down inside, nobody runs around the countryside begging people to come to their stand-up comedy show and has their shit together. You know what I mean? There's still something there's a void that needs to be filled. So before you even think like, oh heck, what a wonderful guy, and then you go and see a show and you'll be like, oh, he's still a little twisted upstairs because this is what he finds funny. Then it all starts to make sense, and I'm okay with that. You know, that's a little more in my control than, you know, rather than being hammered on Jasper Ave in Edmonton, Alberta with a phone in my face, being like, fucking dilly dilly. I'm sure maybe some of you have seen the clips, but that is just when the cameras are rolling. I could only imagine the things that I got up to when the camera was off. And sometimes when you're reminded of those things by running into people you grew up around, then it's just like, oh, you know, you just want to become a shell of yourself once again. But I hope you're all doing well. Yes, once again, the show is out in Kelowna. Thank you for those that came out. First headlining weekend in a club. So that was wonderful. Everybody that came out, I appreciate you taking the time on a beautiful weekend to come and watch some stand-up comedy. You know, thank you to that. I appreciate it. And we will be back out in that area once again. Now in the world is getting quite interesting at this time. Our brains are on. This is an information war. That this is what I'm noticing. It's a lot of information war, and now these celebrities that we once praised in the 90s and the 2000s, and now we've gotten to a place where we don't respect Hollywood the same way we did back in those times. You know, when I was a teenager, we don't look at them. There's no human left in them. You know, like Bono coming out and praising Canada. That is not the guy I want coming out and saying anything positive about Canada. That is the last guy. I don't want the guy that went and put a concert on in a fucking missile bunker in Kyiv singing Someday Bloody Sunday in a bus station so MTV can film it and be like, wow, the morale is up out there. We can't wait to, you know, scoop up some of these Ukrainians and push them to the front line to be cannon fodder in a war that shouldn't even be happening. You know, this is not the guy I want praising my nation. I don't enjoy him. My tune changed on that asshole the moment that he force fed us an album on iTunes, and you could not delete it off your goddamn iPod. That's how old I am. I was using an iPod. I had an iPod Mini and this garbage album. I still can't get it off my iTunes. I've now switched to Spotify, and I will happily pay Spotify $15 a month for ad-free music than ever use iTunes again in my life, because of what they did with a U2 album back in what is it, like 2008, 2007, 2008? Who cares? The fact that they force-fed me some dog shit album produced by Bono, you've lost me. But let's this is what he has said about Canada, and this is on morning television, so you can only imagine who's consuming this bullshit bright and early in the morning. Who do you get? Bono.
Honored to have you, Bono. Oh. Thank you for joining us here in Canada.
So happy to be speaking to you, especially Canadians at this time in your political life, coming together, showing the world how to do it. It's I was always a fan of your mosaic, your culture, your what's the word I would say? Your kind of reason. But never more so.
Yeah, as Canada is coming out and being like, damn near, we're about a sentence or two away from screaming "gas the Jews" from our current federal government. All of them are coming out and being like, we gotta put embargoes on the state of Israel. Is this what you're embracing now, Bono? You were over in a goddamn an abandoned LRT station singing your greatest hits and really bringing down the morale of the war that's taking place in the Ukraine, and now you come over on our breakfast television and start telling us this is I always had an admiration for. I don't want to hear that from you. I don't want to hear that from you. Don't even know the words that you're trying to say right now. Just promote an Apple original film, Bono, Stories or Surrender. Promote the show. Promote the show, put a smile on, pretend you care, and move on. That's all we ask out of these celebrities. We don't want the opinions of Doja Cat about the Gaza war. What's taking... Nobody wants that. Nobody wants Bono. The kids these days don't even know who... He's doing breakfast television to promote a Apple original film, Bono's Stories or Surrender. That's who's consuming this now. Is he on TikTok? Why aren't you on TikTok? Oh, that's right, because everybody would blade you on there. Young kids would comment you to hell and back, because that's what they're doing now. The appeal of celebrity of some of these folks, we've lost the admiration for that. There is no care when it comes to knowing what somebody like Selena Gomez thinks about pollution. Sing the song. It's similar to me. You come here because of my sarcastic, I guess, commentary, my sarcastic commentary and retarded takes. I'm no genius. I am on the same playing field as you. And when I see this, I lose my mind. We are done with it. I've had enough. Move along. Go force feed another album on your iTunes feed, Bono. I've had enough of you. He looks like a grandmother out of quilting products right now. And I'm supposed to sit here and admire the words that you have about the great nation of Canada? Is this, well, I'm supposed to sit here and take what you're saying seriously as you sit here looking like a lunch lady that retired 2 weeks ago. I've had it up to here, folks.
So then now I'm grateful, and the whole world is in awe of what you've done. And thank you for getting together, putting all your politics aside, and not electing a populist. But actually, competence turns out to be the rarest thing on the planet these days. A numerate, thoughtful, intelligent.
This is a man right here praising that the country elected a international banker. Keep in mind, this is how dumb they are. You don't need a brain to operate in Hollywood. You do not need a brain to operate in Hollywood. Do I have to say it again? You remove your brain and just allow them to install whatever the hell it is to push a narrative. We've known this now since COVID, right? Am I allowed to say that word on this shit? Does that mean anything? Am I allowed to say it? I don't know. But since COVID, we have watched when Gal Gadot and all of her dumb friends got together and imagine all that, and they sang, who's the dickhead from the bit? John Lennon song all together. We watched our whole idea of who these people truly are shift. They expose themselves for being the dumbass. We had to watch people that are complaining about being in a $14 million $14 million home. That's fucking 19,000 square feet. They're in their pools bitching while sipping pina coladas served to them from immigrant fucking workers. Meanwhile, you and I are sitting here scratching our heads and being like, how am I going to make it through this next little while? What is going to happen? And they're sitting here and be like, oh God, it's just so hard. I can't go down to a 5-star Michelin restaurant right now and have a steak seared to perfection. While these peasants are fighting over toilet paper, I've had it up to here with these people, folks. I've had it up to here with these people. Bono.
Leadership. So thank you.
I think we all remember as Canadians, I think it was back in 2016, you said Canada, the world could use a little more Canada. Those words still resonate in this country today.
They don't. You got there. 51 reasons to love Canada, I say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Bono, hold on, I got you. Get this guy off my screen before I have a conniption. Bono, of all people. This is, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. As we're watching the world implode on itself, I don't want to be one of these doomers. I actually ran into one in a parking lot today, which I found quite, I am a lighthouse for those types of folks, I am a lighthouse for those types of individuals. I don't know what it is about me. I do have the look. I know I do. But all of a sudden I'm in a 45-minute conversation. This guy's handing me newspapers from like schizophrenics that's produced by a schizophrenic that's taking all these Substack articles and making a newspaper out of it, and he gets it mailed to him and he hands me 2 copies. I don't even know this guy. I don't think this guy knew who I was. But he just all of a sudden, I'm going into a Dollar Tree. Okay, that's where I'm going in. This guy spots me, puts me crosshairs, and being like, "That's my guy I'm going to talk to." And it just walks up and he waits for me to get out of the car. He's standing outside. I think I'm about to get robbed. I think I'm about to get robbed. And I'm staring at him like, "Are you going to be here this whole time?" Like I finally get out and he starts asking about the vehicle that I have, and then the conversation quickly shifts and he goes, what the hell? How did he lean into it? And he starts going off about, energy-directed weapons and the World Economic Forum and something about, doomsday prepping. All of a sudden went to doomsday prepping. And I don't know what it is. I'm just like a moth to a flame with that type of, and I got time for, and don't think that I'm about to sit here and criticize this guy. I got time for a conversation like that. By all means, I have the time. Spew your stuff. What do you got for me? What do you got for me? I will listen. I am 0% about to judge you at all. I will make fun of it, but I enjoy individuals like that aren't afraid to talk about those types of things in public. People are walking by as he's being like, yeah, and fucking Klaus Schwab. As soon as that, I am locked in. And people are staring like, Jesus Christ, what is this guy? What the hell is this guy talking about? Like, none of them understand it. And like, that's the world I want to be in. I want to hear you scream at the top of your lungs and get very passionate about what is happening at the upper echelon of geopolitics. Who has the money? What's next? Predict to me what's going to happen next. You know, what do they do? Energy directed weapons. They're going to zap us all. And then, like, I couldn't keep up with them, so it was here, there, everywhere. It's exactly what I thought. If you were to take every video on Rumble and squish it into a human being, this was that guy. And I was happy to talk to him. It's much more interesting than listening to somebody like Bono tell me how great my country is. And another person that I find deeply interesting is, Ben Bankes' favorite mayor here. Now, I know many of you are going to think to yourselves like, hey, is this Bankes? You know, if you are a Ben Bankes fan, you know that he does the voiceovers and blah, blah, blah. Funny joke, hack. Here we go. But the mayor of Toronto has now come out and is deeply upset that a lot of these corporations are pulling their funding for the Pride Festival in Toronto. And she has some big concerns about this, and we're going to cover that on this show because we are concerned as well. And we need to know what Mayor Olivia Chow thinks about this. I mean, Christ almighty. You know, it is the month. It is the month. It is the month. Anyways.
Now, we've all seen the depressing news. Huh? Pride Toronto.
Huh? Oh my God.
Oh, I've lost some corp. Huh?
You know, when you start, I know it's clipped. I know she was speaking before and after. This is clipped. It's a minute 30 of like however long this speech took place, right? It's a minute 30. But when you started off with a, huh? You think to yourself, like, you know, the mayors of Toronto, they peaked with Rob Ford. That is it. Like, they peaked. It's been a steady decline. Who was the one that got the one that got caught with a hooker? Was it John Tory? John something. He got caught getting whacked off. And now you have Mayor Olivia Chow, who just cannot, you know, this is the disease in politics, is many of them are in this position of power, but then don't wield the power. It's a playhouse at the end of the day. You know, and I can see now that Parliament is back in session, and all these goons have to get back and go and debate these things. I don't know if you've seen this video of Melanie Joly in the House of Commons with right beside Mark Carney, and he just kind of like ignores her. Like the playtime is over. And a lot of these clowns are being exposed for that now. And I'm not about to praise anything. I'm not taking a side. I'm just saying that somebody that comes from a background of like a corporate structure or is structured corporately, maybe I need to flip those. And this individual is sitting on like boards of directors of some of the most powerful and wealthiest companies on the planet, then comes in to play patty cake with a bunch of dipshits. It's like taking a high school. It's fucking Billy Madison all over again. You know, you're taking a high schooler and putting them in grade 2, and he's just like looking like, how do you people function? You know, you people are so stupid. Like just basic knowledge of presenting yourself in a manner that can be somewhat respected. You know, when instead of like coming in and be like, we're talking about politicians in this country are the people in the corporate world that get excited about a casual Friday. And they wear their silly Tommy Bahama shirt and be like, you know what I mean? This is Canadian politics. Those are the individuals that are in the House of Commons. And right now you have somebody like Mark Carney who came from a very corporate world, and he's looking at these people like, you're all idiots. How do I work in this environment? It's almost like a punishment at this point. It's like, you got to go and run this clown show of Canada. You are no longer a part of the United Kingdom banking system. You're no longer part of that. You're going to head over to Canada, and we're going to give you the prime minister slot. And to him, that probably feels like a downgrade. You know, going from managing assets worth billions of dollars to now running a country where the mayor is coming out and doing a speech how you should boycott the Home Depot because they removed funding from a Pride festival. You know, we're talking about a city that is riddled with crime. I want to say every weekend at this point, your streets are overran with people that are just standing there screaming at cars idling, essentially. You have people that have worked an honest week's work or an honest job out on patios trying to enjoy some craft beer, while goons are out in the streets popping off those smoke sticks and smoking them out of the downtown to scream about God knows. You got Palestinian protests one week, the next week it's Gaza, the following week the Israelis are out there screaming at them, and then like it's protest, and that's why, you know, protestmania.com, support Kareem Assad's work. I do enjoy what she is up to, by the way. But that's what we're looking at. The mayor of Toronto, this is just one big party. We want to be a part of the she's got the feathers on. You got two individuals that are dressed up like kings and queens behind them. You know, this is a big event, and she wants to party for the month. You know, there is no concern on funding a functional police service that has the ability to crack down on the surging crime throughout the city. No. We need to focus on what matters, and that is ridiculing a corporate entity like the Home Depot because they decided to remove their funding from a parade. These are the issues that matter. We need to take them serious. We need to, remove our egos, remove what we believe. I can't even say any of this with a straight face at this point. Anyways, off to him here.
Pride Toronto have lost some corporate sponsor because they just don't know who they are. Huh? They're short-sighted. They don't know who they are. And the first round of corporate cuts, about $300,000, the city of Toronto said, you know what? We're going to come to the table. We will provide a grant that is $350,000 and every year for 5 years, 62% increasing the funding by 2027.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's our commitment to you.
Holy shit.
Now, then there's the security costs, and then there are now
my apologies.
Google and what? Okay, we won't even. I know. I hate telling them. Yeah, don't shop at Home Depot, guys. Rona. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this crowd and I think to myself, yeah, this is a group of contractors that are going to be heading down to the Home Depot. Don't go shop at the home. Yeah, that'll hit them in the pocketbook. My God Almighty, this looks like an elbows up crowd, for Christ's sakes. That's what they're doing. They're getting there. Yeah, they're greasing the old elbow and doing home renovations. This whole group. Look, it's gray hair. It's all gray hair. These are retirees coming down to listen to his speech. I'm looking at the first 2 rows, let's go 3 rows, and I don't see a hair that is not gray. I am flabbergasted at this point that, yes, this is going to, the Home Depot is shivering in their boots right now. $1 billion corporation. I can only imagine what they produce yearly, or what they profit yearly. But this is going to hit them right in the pocketbook. You know, Ethel and Bethel sitting here were thinking to themselves, you know what? I was really thinking about renovating the bathroom next week. We were going to get together and put a new vanity in there. And now, you know what? Now that Mayor Olivia Chow is making a grandiose stand here before me downtown Toronto on this podium, I am going to follow her footsteps, and I will not be making any transactions at the Home Depot. 0% of my dollars are going to be going down to the Home Depot because they don't want to, you know, offer up some plywood to create a float for a couple of men to butt fuck one another in the downtown Toronto area as the parade's going on. I'm not saying that's what they do. It's just comedic value, okay? We're joking around. We're being sarcastic, okay? Whatever they want to do it at this point. Butt fuck each other for God's sakes. But this is the concern. This is good. Now I understand that probably like Toronto Pride probably does produce a lot of money because a lot of people fly in for this, and now that they're losing but the city now is funding this. Meanwhile, you know, you're saying that hate is on the rise, right? Hate is on the rise, but this money is now being allocated so that way we could have a float. You know, $350,000 is what they need to ensure this. So now what does that cover? The policing that goes into the security, you know, the tax dollars behind all of this then starts to get quite interesting. And does it produce money for the city? I would imagine so, because people fly in all over the world. Is it, you know, I got every week I got to deal with somebody being like, there's degeneracy in hockey. And it's like, okay, enough. I get it. I hear you. So they have a pride night in the NHL. What do you want me to do about it? I just want to watch the playoffs and hopefully get to witness a Stanley Cup parade. I've enjoyed this sport and I've enjoyed this game since I was a wee lad, and it's something that's dear to me. It's nostalgic. I just, you know, that's all I'm asking. I don't care about all the other shit. I don't fucking show up. I barely buy tickets to the games, you know. I just want to see Edmonton pull one off. So in my lifetime, I can see a Stanley Cup parade in the city of Edmonton and enjoy myself. I might get hammered that day. I might crush some frickin' beers that day. But on now back to the topic at hand is now we gotta. It's just so exhausting, isn't it? Keeping up with this. You sit here and you listen to me rant and rave about this, and it's week after week that some moron in a position of power comes out and says something so ridiculous to the point that even, you know, me as an individual, I scratch my head. And I honestly start to think that, did those words just come out of her mouth? You would think, this is what I mean when I say like someone like Mark Carney, who comes from a background of economics, right, has been in a round table probably with some people that we don't even know their names, but the power that they wield is beyond our comprehension as peasants, right? He sat at tables with these individuals. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he's been photographed with Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a very, very powerful individual. We all learned that. You know, how does somebody get away with... I wouldn't say she got away with it, but I imagine that her stay in whatever facility that she's in right now is pretty easy. I mean, the first time that Epstein got popped, it was doing weekends in like some Miami prison, and the door wasn't even locked. He could come and go as he pleased. He'd kick his feet up for a couple hours and be like, all right, time to mosey on out. It's not like these people they're being treated in the manner of like if you and I were to be busted on a very serious crime. We would be in the concrete jungle, or I guess we would be in prison with with murderers, thieves, and the most evil and grotesque human beings on the planet. But these people get a walk because they're wealthy, they're powerful. And then when you stop and think about that, and this person now has to sit at a table with somebody like Mayor Olivia Chow, who is now saying that you imagine that? Who the fuck is she? The Yin Yang twins? What are you doing, ad-libs on a Yin Yang Twins album right now? You remember that episode of them on MTV Cribs? When they're showing the cars? And then all of a sudden you're like, and you wonder what noise just came out of that individual's mouth? This is the same as her delivering a speech about the money. It blows my mind.
Other sources. Anyway, shop Canadian. Shop local, no? Yeah. Yes.
Holy
we
hell.
are not the 51st state. Are you kidding? We are proud Torontonians, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, we have another round of funding that you heard about. Yes, another $2 million to help out with the funding need because of security and all that concern. So, we at the city are stepping up.
$2 million. There you have it. $2 million. And then meanwhile, you have now I know it's more of a provincial funding. It's more provincial funding when I bring this up, okay? I know that. I understand that. I get that. But then you start hearing this shit, okay? This one I found quite interesting because we like to gloat in this country. We love to do this thing where we tend to look at America and gloat about our free healthcare. I'll put that in air quotations, free. We are taxed heavily on it, right? And for quite some time, since I was younger, we love to throw that around in their face. That was one of our favorite things to gloat about in front of the Americans. Now we sit in a place where we don't necessarily get to do that anymore because articles like this come out. We hear about the wait times that take place inside of these hospitals. We hear about the deaths that occur in waiting rooms. We gotta, and here is another example. A Nova Scotia woman says she was falsely diagnosed with cancer. Now that wouldn't be a very fun time, would it? That wouldn't be necessarily the greatest thing to go through. And now keep in mind, this is publicly funded healthcare that we get to gloat about to the Americans. Meanwhile, we're being taxed at an astronomical rate to fund these types of socialized medicine, or fund this type of socialized medicine. I am fumbling words, but you get where I'm going with this. Now, let's get into this next, because I think it is necessary that we, as people, sit around and listen to this woman's story, because we've spent how many times? I said, I'll go to my free healthcare, buddy. I've thrown that dig at a few Americans before, and now I don't really get to go because now it's being exposed. Maybe in the 90s it would be okay, but even then you would sit there. Hospital wait times were still very, very long. And now we're getting misdiagnosed. You don't know what you're going to get. At this point, sitting at home and typing in your symptoms in ChatGPT is the only healthcare that you're going to be getting in the next 10 years. That's it. You better hope to God that you have a decent internet provider. Now, before they get, actually, it probably won't be that great. It'll be on par with what you're getting now. Granted that the Canadian government will now get their hands on every form of like social media, all these chat GPTs. They'll have their paws sunk deep inside, so that way they can control every ounce of information that the internet will provide to someone like you, you know. Anyways.
Reeling tonight after she claims she was falsely. Nova Scotia woman is reeling tonight after she claims she was falsely diagnosed with cancer by a Halifax hospital. She's since been on a whirlwind journey to find the truth, but in the meantime, she says she's lost faith in the province's healthcare system. She spoke with CTV's.
As you should. Thankful. Are we finally waking up to the idea that maybe, just maybe, these institutions and this socialized medicine isn't quite working? I don't know. I wanted to. You know, I wanted to. That's the thing. We need to be critical of these, of all of it. We need to. You have to say it out loud. You have to. The Arrive Can app, you know, millions and millions, upwards of $100 million, just poof, gone. And these companies just walk away with the money. They get to wash their hands clean. This is your money. You worked for it, right? And I'm not going to sit here, and I know like a lot of folks, oh, well, this is like some conservative talking part. That, no. I would love nothing more than us to have the best medical care on the planet, seeing as how much money is being thrown up in the air. We got Mayor Olivia Chow just pissing money. We're going to put $2 million to the primary. I'm not trying to step on Bankus' stuff by doing it, but you know, that's what you get to look forward to, is these politicians looking at you and just being like, it's all over. We've siphoned all the money. The party is over. I am here just to basically lie to your face and hopefully that you are just dumb enough to believe it. That's what we want. We don't want a thriving education system, because then the individuals that graduate from it might scratch their head and start to think to themselves that maybe I am getting fucked. Maybe I am taking it up my hoop raw. No lube either. My asshole has been getting torn since I was just a small adult. Actually, rewind it all the way to once you entered middle school and the indoctrination starts happening. Your dreams get crushed from somebody who thought that their dreams were to educate the youth, only for the system to kind of stifle that. They stifle that. You cannot punish children anymore for behavioral problems. You can't. You just seemingly push them along to the next grade. We have a problem where children are unable to read and write as they're graduating high school. We're just producing some of the most, remedial people we possibly can through a publicly funded education system, and it seeps into other areas like the healthcare system as well. How are you falsely diagnosed with cancer? The reveal of this is hilarious, by the way. The reveal of it is hilarious. Let's listen.
Vanessa Wright.
It's an unimaginable experience. 31-year-old Gabriella Pate says she was falsely diagnosed with cancer.
I'm absolutely traumatized. I feel like I'm still in a dream right now.
It all started back on May 17th. Pate says she had just finished celebrating after being told by her doctor that results from the IWK, a Halifax Women's Health Center, showed a lump in her breast was non-cancerous. But that celebration was short-lived.
Just this last Wednesday at 7 p.m., I get a call from my primary care physician that the IWK had made a mistake, and I actually did have metastatic carcinoma, which is a very grim diagnosis. It's the same breast cancer my mother died of.
Pate started making phone calls of her own.
So now this poor woman, I can only imagine the stress on this lady's shoulders, because you want to trust these educated individuals, but no. Now did she mention that this was something that her mother had passed from?
Diagnosis is the same breast cancer my mother died of.
Yeah, her mother had passed away from this. And now, your whole life flashes before your eyes when you receive I would imagine, with this kind of information. And now you're living in a totally different mindset of like, okay, well, I guess you accept fate. What other option do you have? You cannot fight it. You can, but you cannot fight the information that you're just given. Do you give up? Do you lose all hope? And now you're battling and I don't blame her for being traumatized, because this is something that is public. This is something that you trust these individuals, right? You trust these individuals. You come in and you're starved and fucking for this information of like, please, doc, tell me that I'm going to be okay. Actually, you're not going to believe it. The diagnosis that we have for you is similar to what your mother has passed away from, and enjoy the rest of your day. I suggest getting ice cream. A lot of people, once they get ice cream, seem to accept this type of information a little better. This poor woman, I feel for you.
Tay started making phone calls of her own to family, friends, and her workplace, telling them of her diagnosis. That was until last Friday, when she says she got another call from her doctor telling her there had been a mix-up at the IWK and that she did not have cancer.
A mix-up?
She actually went and looked through all the slides and all the reporting herself and determined that my file had been mixed up with someone else's. So now my thought is, there's this poor woman that's walking around that was, given, hope that she didn't have breast cancer, and she doesn't. She has one of the most aggressive breast cancers that's out there.
CTV News reached out to the IWK for comment. In an email, a spokesperson says due to patient privacy, they cannot comment on specific cases, but they do take concerns of this nature seriously, and a formal investigation will follow.
To not even call someone, like, I'm a person, I'm a human being, I'm not a number in a computer system.
You are.
To not even call and say, we are so sorry for what has happened here is just absolutely unimaginable to me.
Left with more questions than answers, Patay intends to take legal action.
Good.
Somebody has to be accountable. Someone has to say, we're so sorry that this happened, but more importantly, what are we going to do going forward so this doesn't happen to anybody else?
Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Lower Sackville.
Good. That's what I say. Good. Go at them. That's the only way you can get rich in this country too, by the way. Is you pray to God that somebody like Tim Hortons has a cockroach in your drink. You pray to God that this failing system wrongs you in some form, that you can sue the Christ out of them. This is the only way you get rich in this country now. Do not come to Canada with any form of ambition. Do not come here with the idea in your head that this is similar to America, that there is some form of a dream that you can be a part of. It does not exist. You pray for something like, and I wish her well, I do. I'm glad that you're not diagnosed with cancer, and it's got to be like, it's got to be relieving to hear those words and be like, hey, we shuffled the papers a little, we had a little mix up, a little woo-hoo, so don't worry about it. That whole thing that we had you thinking there for the past little while, it's just a little goof. We got you. That's a little prank. It's a JFL fucking, what are those ones where they don't even talk and they goof people? Who cares? But we got you good, didn't we? Now we're going to, can we just get a little reaction shot from you? But you pray. That's what you pray for in this country. You pray to God that something like this, something that you hope a little mix-up happens of one of these institutions that the federal government has its paws into, and you can just sue the Christ out of them, and they'll just hand you money. Here's a little money. Go away. Here's a little money. Here's $50,000. You know, like what was it? The Tim Hortons offering a $50 gift card because there was a cockroach and an iced coffee. That's what you get. You got to take what you can get. You got to go further though. Don't cheap out. You go for it. They slip up the papers. I want to hold somebody accountable. I'm rooting for her. I hope you get enough money that you can retire. That's what I hope. I hope you just cripple these people financially. I mean, you won't cripple them, but I hope you make a ton of cash from suing somebody like this. And I know it's like, oh, this is a cancer foundation for women. Yes, they got millions and millions of dollars. They're federally funded. There's fundraisers that always go on. Give the lady. This is a lottery package. You know, you sit there and you think to yourself, like, all these lottos that take place where you can buy tickets, and it's like, hey, this is money's going to the Stollery, and then, you know, you can win a house. This is the Canadian dream that you wish and hope that some, or like that someone's is attached to the endless pile of money that is the federal government, that you can sue the Christ out of, and you can finally retire, you know, because it's not looking so bright now, is it? It's not looking so great, is it? You hope that you can just make enough money off a lawsuit that you can evacuate the country and go somewhere where the dollar can be stretched much further. You know, you start looking at places in Southeast Asia. You start looking at, you know, where can I move to where I can enjoy the last bit of my life. That's what I appreciate about the Americans, okay? And I know what you're thinking. Oh, like, well, what do you mean? Like these organizations like BLM. I respect the fact that the organizers took all that money and bought mansions in Calabasas. That's the purpose of this. You know, everybody's scheming and scamming, and good people, you know, I know you're out there, but you're letting money slip through your fingers. You raise this money for all these folks, and then all of a sudden, what? What happens? You're left with your thumb up your ass, and everybody else around you's getting rich. Get a little selfish. Make an organization that can produce a lot of money, and or pray to God that you get wronged in some way, that you can sue one of these organizations and you can finally retire. The idea of working until you have a nice little package and a 65, I'll take my pension and kick my feet up, it is gone. Okay? You hope when you take a kneel at the bedside, close your eyes and bring your palms together, and you start asking the good Lord for, you know, fortune, great health, you know, and all these things. You pray. One of those prayers once a week should be that you hope to God someone misdiagnoses your cancer for you. You pray to God that Tim Hortons has like some bug or a disease in its food, so you can sue them. You know, you pray to God that McDonald's serves you a raw hamburger. Something comes your way so you can finally get rich in this country. You pray for, and if you're not praying for that, well, I think you are an idiot. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. We will see you next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, for another episode. Take care, everybody. Patreon.com/DangerCat69 for an exclusive episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. Merch and show tickets at DangerCatsShop.com. Good night, everybody.